The general of this division had a nervous breakdown and was no longer fit for command. His hopes of being flown out with the badly wounded and sick had not been fulfilled. He now had to share the fate of his soldiers to the bitter end. This general, who a short time before was a commander of a division, had carried the responsibility for many thousands of men, was once more a mere human being trembling for his life. And did his questions not reveal the same fear that secretly tormented all of us? We made one another realize that the impending military catastrophe was also a political catastrophe, the result of presumptuous beliefs and actions that had long shaken the healthy foundations of our intellectual, cultural, and national life. Had the power that we served as citizens and soldiers bent its knee before the law that was rooted in the code of ethics? Or rather, had not a new gospel of violence been proclaimed and introduced that, in a fatal reversal of all values, had ceased to differentiate between right and wrong? So these guys are realizing what's coming around. What's coming around? He's realizing that the path that they went down as a country was wrong. Back to the book. By means of destructive battle against the universal educational and cultural powers of classic antiquity, humanism, and Christianity, an anti-intellectual political religion of power had successively extracted the German people from the best of the commonly held European body of human thought, and thereby also out of any commitment to the objective concepts of truth, compassion, and justice.
Is that his conclusion, like, during these events, or? Yes,
during these events, he's realizing what's happening.
Yeah,
is that they were wrong, and they went. I mean, the thing that's crazy about Nazi Germany is how fast that transition took place. It's like we're talking 10 years.
The rise of the Nazis?
The rise of the Nazis.
Or their influence in that.
Yeah, the rise of the Nazis. Yeah. Straight up. 1933, they started, now 1943. So we're 10 years, and you have a completely different viewpoint of the world.
Yeah. That's crazy. I mean, I wonder how much
they're going against, they're going against the traditional values. They're going against, they're going against the Christian values. They're going against the cultural values. They're going against the national values.
Yeah.
They're going against them.
Yeah. And I wonder how much of it is, like the soldiers and even the people in the Nazi party. I wonder how much of it is like denial, where it's how like you're signed on to like some leader.
You mean in the time being?
Yeah.
Or are you saying right now, how much of this denial?
No. During the rise,
sure. Well, if you remember Rape of Nanking, you remember that there was one of the nicest guys, one of the guys who made the biggest sacrifice was a straight up actual Nazi. And he made massive sacrifice and took huge risks to save as many people as he could. By the way, not white people, not Aryans, but Chinese.
Yeah.
So there's a guy that, was more related to the traditional Christian intellectual values, right? And yet, okay, the people that are in charge of the country is Nazis, so I guess that makes me a Nazi.
Yeah.
And here we go. And these guys, worse situation because they're soldiers. Mm-hmm. So now they're fighting for that evil force.
Yeah.
And like you said, there's some denial. You also get caught up, and clearly the Germans got caught up in the nationalism. They got caught up. Hitler was a great orator and a very moving speaker, and they got caught up in that, and they were in a very depressed economy. So those things all kind of came to a head. They had been, in their mind, screwed over in World War I and, defeated and then treated badly. And, there's this whole thing about Hitler's mustache. Hitler's got the funny mustache.
Sure.
And there's some debate on how much of this is actually true, but whether it's true or not is a little bit, it doesn't really matter because of what it represents. So the deal was that Hitler's mustache, if you wanted to have a mustache during World War I, because of wearing a gas mask, you had to cut your mustache like that. Hitler still wore his mustache like that. It was like a constant symbol that he remembered. He remembered because he was in World War I. and he was wounded in World War I. And even despite all that insane sacrifice, they didn't win, and they didn't like the way they got treated by the Treaty of Versailles. And so they had that angst. They had the economic angst. They had all those angst built up, and Hitler came along and was ready to let them focus on something else. And now what Weider is realizing here is like, yeah, he had us focus on something else, all right. And what he had us focus on wasn't good. It was evil.